Hello, I'm Tom Robinson, and I'm here to have a chat with the single biggest independent band in the country, Marillion, right here in their headquarters, with a very special announcement of a partnership with Pledge Music concerning the long-rumoured but so far unannounced new album for 2016. And it's being available for pre-order through Pledge Music as of now. So this is big news, and you are the pioneers of direct-to-fan crowdfunding, cutting out the industry. Why have you decided to end up with Pledge Music for this particular project?
Well, we sort of slightly accidentally invented the model back in 2000, and this whole idea of dealing direct with the fans has evolved since then, with subsequent releases, and it's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And with the last album, Sounds That Can't Be Made, we were sort of bursting at the seams a little bit in the sense that we were getting to the limit of our office space and the limit of what our staff could cope with. And so for this release, we were looking at either expanding beyond that, more offices, more staff. We were contemplating that dilemma when Pledge Music approached us and said, "Hey, we know exactly how to do this. We've developed this model ourselves. We've got offices all over the world, and we'd be able to handle everything for you." We had a meeting. We liked the people. And so we decided to join forces with Pledge Music because we felt that they were basically the best at it.
They're very tuned into that whole model that you guys established back in the end of the last century, and it has just changed enormously over that time. But just thinking about it from a fan point of view, you know, people who've been following you through that, one of the big attractions has been having direct contact with the band, feeling, you know, absolutely part of the whole campaign. Do you worry at all that being involved with Pledge Music might put kind of somebody else in between, or what does the Pledge part bring for the fans?
Well, we're still going to be very much hands-on involved in the whole thing, and our interaction with the fans is not going to change. You know, it'll just be through the Pledge website and through ours. You know, at the end of the day, we make music, we're musicians, and the business side of it, while it's of interest to us and necessary, we feel that it's got to the point now where it's got so big that we need to sort of give it to somebody else to take care of, and we can concentrate on making the music. But that part of it, the interaction with the fans and the communication, will still be there. We're not going to step back from that, you know.
I've had really good experience of Pledge Music myself. I've done my own latest album through that, and I find that it's brought me closer to my own fan base through being able to communicate on a kind of weekly basis and everything. But it's particularly the area of pre-ordering the album that's just so helpful, isn't it? That people can not only be certain they're going to get the record, but they get all these kind of bonuses down the line as the campaign is progressing. Is this going to affect the way that you're making the album and the way that you're kind of how much you're letting out to the fan base on the road to completing it?
Having had the experience of this before, I think we can say that, you know, we're used to handling the messaging and getting, you know, the little clips of music and all that sort of stuff as and when we need to, so to keep people interested, to keep the excitement there, because, you know, part of it for a lot of people has been the fact they feel they're, you know, fully involved in the whole thing right from the beginning. You know, a few years back, we did an album called Somewhere Else, where we just did a normal release. We didn't do a pre-order, we didn't do a campaign or anything. And a lot of people were saying, well, it didn't feel the same. We didn't have the same sense of excitement and the same sense of involvement, really.
It becomes a lot more of an event. And we've had like a YouTube channel, Racket TV, in the past during the making of an album where we show some video clips of the progress. So I think it's going to be that sort of approach, but probably more so. But for me, the idea of working with Pledge Music, with the pre-orders we've done in the past, sometimes, yeah, it's the fulfillment companies that let you down right at the end. You know, people have supported you, they've given their money, and they've waited this huge amount of time, and then you're at the mercy of whoever you're using to fulfill and ship those albums. So having a company as together really as Pledge Music looking after that takes a great weight off our minds as well.
So we're sitting here doing this interview right at the heart of Marillion HQ, and we've got the means of making music all around us. This is the kind of beating heart of where it's all coming from. How's the record going at this point? Are you able to give us any kind of information or clues yet?
If you asked us to play something, that would be a bit tricky. No, we've got lots of great ideas. We're at the stage, when we make an album, we always work this way, where we'll gather lots of ideas, we'll do lots of jamming, and then there'll be all these snippets of music from 30 seconds up to 5 minutes long. And we've got literally hundreds and lots of really good stuff, which we're now putting together into arrangements that you could recognise as songs rather than just bits. But that's the hardest part, really. The arranging and the recording all sort of just flows naturally from that. It's coming up with the initial ideas. That's the slog, really.
You've been kind of known though for always doing a album to album, always doing a bit of a swerve, and we never know quite what's going to happen with the next one. Is there a substantial shift on this material?
That's really hard to say. It's a bit early in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a tricky question to answer there. I mean, the beauty of writing by jamming is that it's the accidents that you pull out, and because they're accidents, you have the possibility certainly not to fall into a kind of sound rut. Because if you're someone who just sits down with a guitar and writes a song, or a piano and writes a song, by definition, you're going to work in a certain way. Your hands are going to naturally fall into certain shapes. I mean, as a musician, you know how that is yourself. So jamming eradicates that, because you're looking for interesting accidents all the time.
So there's so many variables between the five of you anyway, that it can all
Say that again.
always...
Sometimes it is, trying to get us all focused on liking the same things.
But quite often we do. I think it's a strength in the diversity of the ideas we've come up with so far on this album. That everyone's very, very excited. Probably more so than, for most albums I think we've made. There's a potential to make something incredibly special out of these ideas that we've got. So.
Yeah, I don't remember being at this stage before and having quite such a wealth of good things to develop. And I think also from what I've kind of heard is talking about, we're all on the same page with what the good ideas are, because that can be a problem when my 10 good ideas are over at nobody else's and vice versa, But I think we're kind of on the same page with what we're excited about. So.
I was just going to say, we make use of modern technology. Everything's stored in the cloud, and we can all access all these ideas and listen to them, compile lists of our top 30 or top 40, and you can see the other members of the band's top 30 and top 40, or 75 in Pete's case, because he can't narrow it down to 40. And you can see that, like Steve was saying, we've got a lot of things in common that we're all going, this is really good, we need to work on this. So I think it's going to be quite a quick process from now.
There's always a challenge when you get to this point in your career not to repeat yourself. I mean, and maybe occasionally in the past we have said, hang on, this is great, but it sounds a bit too much like this that we've done in the past, or something that somebody else has done in the past. But that's not really happened in this case. The ideas are very fresh and interesting, I think.
But the other thing that's really unique about Marillion, I think, is the fact, although you're a band that has its roots in the early 80s, you've always been fascinated by the technology, as Mark says, and always kind of pushed the cutting edge of what was possible technically. And at the moment, out there, the tech world is going bananas. There's the speed of change, the speed of development in music and technology and communication is so fast. Has it affected the way that you're making this record, the fact that you can store in the cloud, and with the instruments and with the way that you interact with those instruments?
I mean, it can be quite liberating, I think, to work in that way. I think everything's changing in music, the way people consume music now. More and more people go into the streaming model. But there are positives with the way the technologies move forward, and the way that we can put together our music now. So
you sort of forget very quickly how it used to be, that, you know, to make a record you had to be in a recording studio working all together. You could only record one at a time. Now we literally will take song ideas away, and one person could be working on one thing, another person working on another, and we bring it all back together. And it's happening in 5 different locations, you know.
Yeah, that's
so
what the last album was like, really, wasn't it?
We ended up finishing the last album. We ran out of time, so we were doing overdubs in hotel rooms in Montreal, and, you know, sending guitar solos from Los Angeles or Poland or wherever we happened to be to Mike here, who was then flying them into the masters and mixing.
Wow.
And that would have been unheard of at one stage, but it's relatively straightforward now.
The other thing, you've mentioned all these locations where you've been. You're not currently on the road. There is a new album through Pledge Music available to pre-order as of today. When are people going to get a chance to see you playing these songs live, and where are they going to be able to see you playing these songs live?
Well, we're going to be touring extensively, hopefully, with this album through the campaign. You know, we are hoping to have a sort of lot of money available to do an extensive tour.
Through Buckinghamshire and beyond.
All the way through to Northamptonshire.
No, we'll be touring sort of America, Europe,
South America.
South America.
Yeah.
We actually got a tour of South America that is already booked.
For next May, isn't it?
Next
Yeah.
May, which is slightly before the album. Whether we'll be previewing any of the songs on that, it's a bit early to tell.
Yeah, we're still at that stage where we're not 100% sure of when we'll have this album finished.
But we are planning
will be,
a
yeah.
large tour to celebrate the whole thing.
We're looking at early next year.
Early next year.
Certainly in the first half of next year.
Okay.
Springish.
But springish.
Late spring, early summer.
Late spring, early summer. Okay, and then we've been calling it this album. Do we actually have any working titles at this point?
It's called Marillion 18 at the moment, but then the last one was called Marillion 17, so that's probably going to change.
Project 18.
So yeah, Project 18.
Project 18.
M18?
Yeah.
18, yeah. It's like Glasgow, is it?
Well, yeah.
So-
Doncaster to Hull, isn't it? The
Oh,
M18,
that's right,
as
yeah,
I
that's that
recall.
link one, yeah, to the A1.
That's exactly the one. So, here's your message, folks. New album, as yet untitled, sometime in springish next year. There will be live dates. The definite ones are in South America, and you can pre-order it right now via the Pledge Music site.